coming to you live over here in Satellite Town around Quetta over here in Pakistan. We are, of course, here with as I quickly look at the number one skin, 68th edition of ESL Open Cup Pro Tour Asia Division. I'm, of course, your host, Yaku of Zaku, and with me today is La Anunciante que no es mi supervisora, Light_VIP. How we doing, Light?
What's up, Yaku? We're here, and of course, we had to start things off with casting one of our boys, and someone with a very interesting name.
Yep, we unfortunately did get confirmation earlier on that this is not who you might be thinking of, but you know what? Just for convenience sake, let's assume that he is. Spawning here in the bottom left-hand corner map, spawning all the way in the bottom left-hand corner of Blackburn LE, the red Terran player coming down from the land of South Korea, I believe is the flag. Over in, South Korea, so you know, the plot thickens. South Korea, he is going to be representing himself as, to my knowledge, he's currently teamless. He is MarineKing.
It's a big boxer fan. And spawning in the bottom right-hand corner of Blackburn LE, we have, of course, our boy, the Duck of the Stars, the Australian Protoss player, representing himself and Team Fight for Justice. It is StarDuck.
Does that mean he's got a bunker rush? Being a boxer fan and all.
Yeah, it's possible. Oh boy.
It's actually not uncommon in TVP, although obviously it's not the same bunker rush a boxer used to go for. It's a little bit more conservative, just meant to delay the Nexus a bit, but yeah, MarineKing ain't going for that though. Just a standard Reaper expand.
Yeah, there's the bunker.
And
we were just talking about it. So, I mean, obviously, this is what Boxer is known for. So, MarineKing, as a massive fan, is going for that. Naturally looking to delay any kind of mining here. So we did get notified before the game started that this player, he is Masters 1, so you know, he can definitely go toe-to-toe with someone like StarDuck, especially if MarineKing is on point and if StarDuck is just waking up. But we'll see how StarDuck deals with this.
Yeah, definitely very comparable here. We cast StarDuck for a very long time, and we are very much looking at him to be one of the next big players coming out from the Oceania region, but it's important to note he is still growing in that sense. He may be chonky, but he's still growing.
Oh yeah, looking to get even chonkier. And right now, you know, the first step is dealing with this bunker. You know, MarineKing, he's being cute right now, just delaying as much mining as possible here at the natural base location. But now that the shield battery has completed, StarDuck will be able to clean this up and just, you know, deal with it.
Yeah, StarDuck not really able to chrono out as many probes as he'd like, but he's being pretty conservative with his production there, so yeah, probes are very far out of range of those bunkers. Reaper will go down, and this is kind of worrying me, like, MarineKing has not been able to scout StarDuck yet.
No, he has not, and that's the danger of going for something like this, is that your Reaper is kind of stuck there in the natural base. He didn't go into the main, and he has not seen the Dark Shrine.
Ay.
Oh boy.
Well, see a couple of tech labs being thrown down. I'm hoping that one of them's on a starport. Be really important to get a Raven out right now. Doesn't have the gas for it though. He has very little gas actually. He is gonna have to save gas.
Oh boy. And right now he does not have any energy. He did just mule, and the DTs should be on the way. There we go. The first DT is being warped in. Would you see? Oh, the Hellion actually slips past everything, and it will be able to scout this. We'll be able to see the Dark Shrine.
And this might be just enough time. I believe MarineKing should have at least one scan available by the time the DT gets in. It's very important for him to save his scan, so it doesn't take much for a DT to avoid a single scan, but a Raven is on the way right now.
Yeah.
So yeah, MarineKing should be sitting fairly safe after the initial chaos.
Yeah, he should be perfectly fine. I'm honestly surprised by how long it took this DT to get across the map. It was warped in a while ago, but it was just kind of sitting idle there for a little bit, and enough time has passed. You called it, like, there's a scan available here, and it does get used. Oh, but the DT survives.
Yeah, that's the thing about DTs, you know. before the Raven gets out, you can be a little bit finesse. That's not the term I'm thinking of. You can be a little bit agile with them, if that makes sense.
Finicky?
Around the detection. Finicky. No, finicky is later on. When the Raven gets out, then the DT becomes a little finicky.
There you go, there you go. But the Raven is finally out, so yeah, these DTs aren't going to be able to deal any damage whatsoever. So nicely done there by MarineKing. Honestly, was very lucky this Hellion was able to slip past and get into the natural with such low health. So really well done there by MarineKing, and we'll see where he goes from here. Like, he's starting to ramp up. You know, we even have, wow, a Banshee on the way as well.
Okay. I have a feeling that this is what MarineKing wanted to go into initially, but that's why it was so important for him to scout that DT earlier on.
Yeah.
Or that Dark Shrine, rather.
Exactly. We do see another scan is being used here to see the third base. He does see that it's being saturated as well, so he knows that StarDuck isn't going for any kind of crazy like 2-base or all in or anything like that. Yo, StarDuck, are you, for a moment, oh my god,
getting a quick 4th base. This is very ambitious from StarDuck.
Mate, I thought that he was going to go for the gold. Regardless, this is still incredibly greedy here.
I worry for StarDuck right now. MarineKing is working on his upgrades. To be fair, he is going stimless with this, but yeah, I mean, we talk about him as being the fan of Boxer, right? And with these Banshees, with these tanks, with all of these Marines, it honestly doesn't take much for a couple of bunkers to go up and just kill the Protoss player.
Yeah, even without the bunkers, like, this army is looking very strong here for MarineKing. Oh my god, he's actually he's going for mech, by the way. What? That's 2 extra factories being thrown down, and there have been no bio upgrades whatsoever. I mean, he can go for an initial push with all these Marines, which he has a very surprising amount of. But that's also something we have to bear in mind, is that these Marines have no combat shields, they have no stim, they're just naked.
Yeah, definitely a lot weaker than they typically would be. But again, there's still plenty of tanks out here, and the Banshees are looking to, you know, cover the Marines as well as they can while any bunkers get thrown up or while the siege tanks get sieged up. If he goes for the push, though, because he's actually being very passive right now. He made a whole bunch of Marines.
Yeah, I'm surprised. I'm very surprised that he didn't go across the map. Not just with the main push, but also with these Banshees. Like, he's got 3 of them. Even without Cloak, like, you can do so much damage with this, but he's just being very, very conservative. He's playing this out very scared.
Yeah, I'm honestly very curious as to how he's planning to play this out. He has a very potent force out right now. To be fair, a little bit behind on the upgrades, but still 3 tanks, 3 Banshees, a Raven,
We got a 5th.
plus all those Marines. That is pretty dang scary. 5th base is being thrown down by StarDuck, and it will be the gold base, but MarineKing should see this. Yep.
Yeah, he does see it, but StarDuck, he's not too far behind with his Blink Stalkers, does not have detection, so these Banshees will be able to get away. But
he hasn't seen a 4th!
Oh god, he hasn't made 4. He knows this is the 4th. Ay.
Oh no, and StarDuck is starting to get very comfortable right now. On 5 bases, one of them being a gold. He is getting nothing but charge lots at the moment, and he should be getting a couple of Archons behind this. Not researching Storm just yet, unless he already has it. No, he doesn't. So you're not researching Storm just yet, and I think that might be what would secure StarDuck a win. Well, it would secure StarDuck a win if it was standard Terran. But
I was about to say, like, yeah, Storm is not what he needs right now. Like, he needs to deal with all these tanks. So going into Immortals would be huge. The problem is that StarDuck doesn't really know what he's up against. He hasn't been able to confirm all these factories or anything really for a while now.
And to be fair, who goes mech in TVP?
Right? Like, it's a very stylistic thing. Yeah, there are only a handful of players like Mir, there's a bunch of Latin American Terrans to do it, but here we go. StarDuck is pushing on in. The Zealots are getting on top of everything here, but they are being chewed up by the tanks. Oh my god, he doesn't even care.
The Marines are providing just enough of a buffer, but he does find the soft center and breaks on through. Really good interference matrix on that Immortal, but it doesn't quite matter in the end. StarDuck lost a whole bunch of units, but they were gateway units versus a whole bunch of tanks. His Banshees are still very much alive, though, and that's a scary part.
I love how StarDuck just doesn't have enough production to spend his money. Like he's just so rich right now. He doesn't know what to do with his money. There we go. Another wave of zealots do get morphed in. Do get warped in even. Oh my god, more damage being done. The Raven does get picked off. We didn't get to talk about it, but Hyperflight Rotus is about to finish up. So these Banshees, they can zoom across the map and potentially deal some damage. But oh boy.
Yeah, they can zoom across the map and do a bunch of counter harass. They can kite a lot better against these stalkers. MarineKing is getting a little bit distracted with them though, and now he's going for the push. He has a much larger army, but not exactly an army that that interacts well with what StarDuck has at the moment. Maybe if he turns all these Hellions into Hellbats, he'll have enough of a buffer, but I'm not quite convinced yet.
There we go. They do transform into those Hellbats. The Zealots are going to get on top of them. But again, Zealots don't do the best against these Hellbats. They will eventually chew through. The tanks do siege up. What I'm a little bit concerned about is that where is the detection? An observer only just now coming out here finally by StarDuck. And does StarDuck even have enough on the ground? Like, he's barely got any gateway units to work with.
He doesn't, but MarineKing is spending a lot of time sending his units across the map. We are starting to get to a point where the Hellbats are starting to run out, the Banshees are getting picked off. Eventually, he should be able to overwhelm this with Zealots. I say that, but that was a whole bunch of tank shots that those Zealots just took. And what concerns me right now for MarineKing Light? Where's the anti-air?
Oh god, there's not much. Oh my god, I just realized, look at how many observers there are. There are 4 observers here. Ay, ay, ay. And
I guess StarDuck.
The problem is that
StarDuck took what we said about him yesterday too literally.
Yeah, he's like, I gotta scout. What's scary is that this actually did eat into the robo production of StarDuck, and he's only just now getting his disruptors out, but he could have had them already by now if he didn't focus so much on that detection.
Yeah, it's a decent spread of tanks over here, but a really good angle. StarDuck comes in, and he is able to overwhelm the mech with chargelets. That's the scary part, right? If you're not able to get enough Hellbats out, if you're not able to get enough tanks on time. Zealots are pretty dang good.
Zealots are all you need, mate. Who needs Immortals against mech? You just use Zealots and you just aim it forward and they get on top of everything. So many tanks just went down for free there by MarineKing. MarineKing is trying to expand and take a 4th base, but as I was pointing out, StarDuck, he's got a 6th on the way. Like, he's he's just non-stop expanding, mate.
Yeah, he is starting to get the gold base now, which will definitely help out a little bit, but considering StarDuck already has his own gold base and he's getting a 6, not as much as you think. It's actually very interesting dynamic we've got here in this PvT. The Zealots will eventually get cleaned out by the Hellbats, but the Hellbats don't exactly trade too well. The tank's actually providing some friendly fire over there on the Terran units. And StarDuck not quite able to warp in yet, but when he does, he has so many gateways. He warps in a massive wave.
Yeah, there we go. Massive wave of Zealots. And what I was about to say is that, like, there are no more tanks. GG gets called.
GG does get called, and StarDuck is going to take game number 1. That's kind of what you can do on a map like Blackburn when you take the gold, you know? You have so many minerals your way, you can overwhelm your opponent with Zealots. Probably wouldn't have worked out if MarineKing went for bio, but we saw what he went for.
Exactly. Oh my god. I mean, honestly, Zealots, I mean, they work well against bio as well, to be honest. Like,
you're telling me.
StarDuck was looking really good there in game number 1, and part of what we just saw, I do think, is influenced by what happened last week. So StarDuck, ESL Americas. Unfortunately, Milk and I, we didn't get to cast ESL Americas last week, but it did go on. And I don't know if you saw, but Haas won ESL Americas, and he tore through. He tore through a lot of players. And StarDuck was like, oh my god, I need to watch the VODs. And he was looking into him. And I don't know if you remember this, but Haas has been playing very interestingly in a lot of these matchups. And he has been like going for these like kind of mass expansion, mass like worker styles where he just has an insane economy.
He really has. Almost, you could almost call it economic cheese, because he does such a good job of like making sure his opponents don't know that he's expanding. Haas does. And when he gets to a point where he's comfortable with his economy, he can just focus solely on his production beyond that. He is looking pretty scary. I mean, what is the conventional wisdom when it comes to Protoss? If you ever let their economy get out of hand, you only have yourself to blame, really.
Exactly. And MarineKing, like, he was a little bit too passive. As we saw, like, it took him a long time to move out with his Banshees. And we talk about it a lot. With your, like, early game aggression as Terran, a lot of that aggression, it isn't just to deal damage. It's also to scout your opponent.
Absolutely. And it honestly looked like he was looking to be very aggressive early on. This is what colloquially I think is called the uwu build, when you go in with Stimulus Marines, Banshees, and tanks, try to get some bunkers up. He had the units to do so, but got a little too spooked to actually go for his push. Tried to play out a bit of a longer game. But regardless, that was game number 1. And to be fair, it did look fairly comparable, both of these players. So let's see if we can get a game number 3 here on Jagannatha LE KBBL. In the top right-hand corner of the map, spawning all the way in the top right-hand corner, we have the red Terran player coming down from the land of South Korea. He is going to be representing himself, as he's currently teamless. He is a massive fan of Boxer, of I Love Oof, of MVP. He is MarineKing.
And spawning in the bottom left, but also proxying in the top left, we have the Australian Protoss player. He is blue. He is representing Team Fight for Justice. He's the Duck of the Stars. He is StarDuck.
He's had enough.
He's had enough, mate. He's proxying those gateways. No gases are being taken. Finally, the first gas is on the way. And oh my god, MarineKing, he's pretending to proxy right now.
That he is. Who's going to panic first?
Oh my, that is the real question. Who is going to flinch? What is interesting is that both players are scouting each other. Both players see that, you know, things are not normal.
That they do, and honestly, this is probably what StarDuck wants more than anything, right? He wants that opening to the main base to be wide on open for his gateways to come in. Finally, MarineKing does throw down the supply depots, and he should finish up in time before these Zealots get out. But one Reaper is all MarineKing's gonna really have to defend for the time being.
Oh, wow, he flinched. he comes back home. He's like, nah, mate, I'm good. Oh, boy.
No, that's the point, though.
Yeah. He's going to be trying to focus down this probe as best he can. It looks like he will get the probe, but the wall, no! Oh God.
Gets it right in time. So we're gonna have some pretty good eyes for the time being. Zealot will slowly get whittled down by the Reaper, by the eventual Marine that comes out. And the SCVs are gonna make sure that StarDuck doesn't get inside. So honestly, better hold for MarineKing, it feels like.
Yeah, I'm just a little bit concerned because we always talk about overcommitting, right, to a defense, and if he stays on one base for too long, like, StarDuck's expanding, like, he doesn't care, like, he's not looking to kill his opponent right now, and right now, MarineKing's throwing down a bunker. Like, how long is it going to take for him to finally start his CC?
Apparently not too long.
Oh, thank God.
Yeah. Could have really gone one or two ways of here. It is in range! Pylon on the high ground, providing just enough vision over here. I never noticed how the
shots angle.
Yeah, how the shots angle if you shoot them on the high ground.
Curves the bullet.
They like go up and then it it really does.
Oh my god! It's so unfortunate for MarineKing to choose this position for the CC. Another SCV gets taken out. Yeah. Mate, he's gonna be forced to cancel that. No, God,
that's he's trying to take out the pylon, but I'm not convinced he's gonna do it in time. Does cancel it right at the last moment, and I'm not really sure what MarineKing was going for in general here, but he's throwing down his next two Raxes. He is going to look to do a lot of counter harass on the other side of the map, but it might just be too late now.
Exactly, we do have the Stalker started stepping forward. He's trying to take out the tank, and it looks like the tank will go down. There's only one Stalker remaining, so StarDuck probably won't be able to finish off his opponent, but he's just done so much with so little, delaying everything.
We'll see. Gateway's about to finish up for StarDuck right now. That is going to be a fast warp in on the other side of the map. He is working on his next phase, grab and blink, and just making sure that his expansion is getting saturated up. But he no longer has high ground vision on this, up this ramp. And it doesn't take much for MarineKing to fully wall this off.
Yeah, exactly. Like MarineKing, he's safe, he's alive. He's not living his best life though. He's oh god. The CC is on the way,
he's
though.
Like a tiger
thankfully,
in a cage.
Exactly. He's like a puppy in a cage. Even I don't know.
He needs to be free.
Oh god.
Live his life.
We got a couple more gateways being thrown down. We have 4 gates in total. Blink is about to finish up.
StarDuck does not want to get a third base this game.
I mean, by all means, if he wants to, he totally could. He totally could get a third base and just macro on from here. Like, he can do whatever he wants. Like, he's well ahead at the moment. This Reaper is dealing some damage, you know, does get 2 workers, finally forces a warp in.
Yeah, actually some pretty good kiting here from MarineKing. 2 workers, I think, is about ideal for when you only have a single Reaper like that. But, yeah, StarDuck is building a lot of Stalkers right now. Blink is about to finish up. MarineKing is on the low ground right now, which is what worries me, but he is getting a decent amount of bio, and he's got a couple of Marauders that can really slow down Stalkers, and now he's aware!
He knows where the proxy is. He saw them being warped in. Meanwhile, StarDuck, he's looking to contain his opponent, throw down a pylon, throw down some shield batteries as well. There is an opportunity for StarDuck to just blink forward and get on top of a tank, but because there are 3 tanks, there's going to be a lot of damage, and it may not be worth it, but we'll see.
This is a very even spread here of tanks, and StarDuck is trying to go right for it, but he's bleeding out a lot of Stalkers, doesn't even get a tank.
Wow. 1 Stalker shy of one-shotting that tank, and now it gets repaired, and that was a hefty loss there for StarDuck.
Observer is making its way across the map, but is it going to be too late? To be fair, his main base is very much undefended. MarineKing will confirm that StarDuck is on 2 bases, or at least he doesn't have a base in that location. And StarDuck, he didn't want to get a third base this game, but now he's kind of forced to.
Yeah. Again, that was a big loss there to begin with, and he's not committing. He's not throwing down any shield batteries. He has given up this location. He's like, all right, you know what? You can have it. And he does end up expanding, taking his third. What's scary, though, is that he is being chased across the map.
Yeah, this is one of the scariest times to take a third base. We're at that point of PvT where the tables have turned, and MarineKing is very much looking to push and try to take out that base, but he's losing a lot of bio over here. Really nice blinks from StarDuck, and his army kind of gets split up. He has 3 tanks, which is scary, but he has only 2 Marauders left. No buffer for them, and now StarDuck is going to get comfortably saturate a third base.
Oh yeah, exactly. Like, that was huge. Being able to basically reset the bio count like that meant that MarineKing, like, his push was going to be so much weaker, but he doubles down. He pulls all the boys. He wants to end the game, and he gets spotted!
No!
I'm
looking to go for the flank.
The tank!
Kicking off a tank here. That's going to make the Terran army a lot weaker. He's actually pulling back. And
no.
StarDuck is fine with this. Just distract the Terran army for as long as he can. He knows that MarineKing ain't mining from that natural base.
Finally, MarineKing does find the proxy, and now these 2 mortars are busy on A move, kind of focusing down.
Oh, no.
And again, this push is so delayed. What are the defenses looking like? We see a couple of shield batteries being thrown down. We need more warp in. StarDuck, thankfully, he's nowhere near being supply blocked. He recalls.
He still has that production available to him, like to recall back on his side of the map. Or not recall, sorry, but warp in.
Yeah, exactly.
Decent force field, but honestly, it's mostly force fielding SCVs over here. So, in the end, it does hurt MarineKing a lot more than it hurts StarDuck, but not the most effective use. IMO.
Oh god, I mean, regardless though, he basically cut the push in half at this point. Like, there's barely any SCVs left, any buffer, and that means the Zealots are gonna get on top of everything, and that's exactly what they do.
MarineKing had a really solid defense here, but the counterattack was not to be. GG's called, and StarDuck is gonna take that series 2-1. My phone is kind of. GG, and man, honestly, I do still feel like these players, they seem fairly comparable here. but MarineKing with some questionable decision making.
Yeah, it did feel like honestly, for the most part, StarDuck, he was kind of, dictating the pace of the game the entire time.
Very much.
Both games, it felt like MarineKing was kind of scared and like trying to respond to what his opponent's doing, but was always kind of like one step behind. Really well done there by StarDuck. Like we always talk about, like, more often than not, StarDuck, he's playing with his eyes closed. But not this game. This game, like, his scouting was on point.
This time he had 4 eyes.
There we go. There we go.
He looked into the soul. Or something like that.
Yeah. He saw Slayer's Boxer, mate.
And Boxer told him, what's a Boxer quote?
Class is temporary, form is form is permanent.
There we go.
No, form is temporary, class is permanent. That's it. That's it.
Other way around. If you're somebody like Boxer, apparently.
Oh god. Like I'm sure that's something that Boxer once said to MMA when they were on Slayers, and then he repeated that.
And then eventually it got turned around somehow. But yeah, now not the best form here, I guess, from MarineKing. But you know what? Seemed to have some class to him. So, well, hopefully we get to see him again. And hopefully nobody else gets confused by his name.
Yeah, hopefully we do see more of him, sign up for these ESL weeklies, maybe sign up for more tournaments as well. It would be great to see, but we are moving on in the bracket. Our boy StarDuck, he moves on, and he's going to be facing the Korean Protoss Zaun.